Hello, this is Art Dust with Glenda Gibson and
Donna Drouin.
And today we're talking about a biggie. We're talking about resistance. Now, you might know resistance by another name, but every artist of any sort ever has had to deal with this resistance. And so we've had quite a bit of resistance to this podcast.
I think we've tried.
We're starting a lot later than we thought we would. We've had phone calls from people to interrupt us, and then Donna had her phone on silent, so I couldn't get across to her anyway. And then I'm sitting here waiting for Donna to join me, forgetting that I have to invite her into the talk. And that's just today's resistance.
I even tried knocking on the screen as if say, hello, can you hear me? I'm here.
Completely didn't work. So we've had loads of resistance. I've been thinking, if I've forgotten how to do it, I can't do it. And yes, I had forgotten a few things. But we're here, we're back at it. And I thought, no, it's windy. No, I'm busy. I had guests yesterday. And then the resistance of thinking, well, do I really have anything to say? Is what I'm saying valuable? You know, that's what's that called? The imposter syndrome.
Yeah, the imposter syndrome.
So you might have that. You might think, oh, who do I think I am, thinking that I've got anything to offer the world? Or it might be just a feeling of depression or heaviness. It's all resistance. There's loads of different ways that it comes at you and hits you. The imposter syndrome's been a big one just recently. Donna and I are more than halfway through a 3-weekend exhibition.
Last weekend, this weekend.
Yeah.
Wow.
But we've not sold anything, or hardly anything. Compared to last year, which we did okay, but this year we've hardly sold anything. And so it all sort of hit me on Sunday. Obviously, you get tired when you're doing an exhibition, so that doesn't help.
So
that's
talking
something
and
else.
Smiling.
Being nice to people. Well, and sitting around, and you can get a bit bored if nobody's coming in to look at your work as well. And I got sick of looking at my work.
Did you not change view and sit looking at Sharon's work?
I did a bit of that. I sketched some of her work too. We're exhibiting with another lady this year, which is really good, really great. Sharon Dad.
Yeah.
But, I started to think, what's wrong with my work? Is my work good enough? Am I really an artist? All those sort of, maybe I should do better work, and all the reasons that you think, why isn't my work? And as well as that, have I done enough promotion? I'm thinking, is it because I haven't told people? But honestly, I do not think Donna could have done anything else on Facebook or Instagram.
No, or Threads.
Threads. I'm not on Threads yet. So, so she's been out there doing that. But I've put posters up locally. I've done press releases, and I've sent out, I've also been sending out videos, doing lives and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
For the exhibition, we made sure that the venue we're at had all the information. We've done loads, and it's just not working. But this is actually probably what we should be talking about when we talk about exhibition frustrations, which is a podcast we're going to come up to later on.
Yes, I'm taking to actually individually inviting people this week. That's my strategy this week.
Running. And we also, didn't we? We drew on the pavement outside and did arrows. Art for sale.
But the children really loved it. They did the hopscotch, and then one of the dads went, "These numbers are back to front," and I looked at him and went, "Oh yeah, they are."
They are, because we were doing it upside down. Yeah. So that's kind of what we've been doing. But you do feel that resistance all the time, and I think we need to expect it. Expect resistance. And sometimes if it's a big resistance, maybe what you're doing is important. and you need to really push into it, the resistance is even bigger if it's going to have an impact. And I really felt that with this podcast. This is a really important topic, this topic of resistance, and how you might experience it. But I've got other people who overthink things, they're always thinking about how it's going to be received and whether they're too much in the story or whether they need to be more in the story of their art, and are they exhibiting at the right place, blah, 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 all going around in their heads. And
rather than just getting it done. Yeah. There's an element to just getting things done. I mean, I think I've had to get things in my head. I have had to do this, right? This is as much as I can get done. And I'm just having to I've got a wish list, and I know my wish list of the things I want to get done. But then when I get to coming up to the deadline, I'm start to take all the lesser items off the bottom. They start falling away. Like, I knew I would have time to make cards after the exhibition was up. So I was like, they can wait. They'll have to wait till next week. And it's just like knowing you're going to an exhibition on that first weekend without cards is a bit like, oh no, that's like, people often come the first weekend and then buy cards, and just knowing that I couldn't do it. But there is that element of, I've got to get this done if I don't get this done. But there is all those, the kids come in and they want stuff, and then or the cat walks across your paper that you've freshly ironed, or the child folds over a picture you've just done, and you're like, no, well, Mum, I need the scissors. No, you don't need the scissors that much.
Yeah. So coming back to resistance, it's some people see it as artist block, that they can't get on, they can't make themselves do art. That's the little phrase that goes around in my head. I say, why can't I make myself go and do art? Why can't I make myself do it? I want to do it. I enjoy doing it. It's helpful for me to do, but I have no excuses. I don't have children at home. I have all the equipment I need. I'm not short of any supplies. I don't have I can't do it because I'll waste stuff. I don't have that problem at all. I've got so much stuff. I'm quite happy to waste it, and just to reduce it a bit. So I've got a bit more space. It'd be good. So that's sort of like artist block, resistance. All these things, I think, are linked. It's everything that stops you from actually creating.
Yes.
And so
the house always needs hoovering. House
always needs dusting. Husbands always need cups of coffee, not tea. He'd die if I gave him a cup of tea. So I've been trying to be disciplined, good old discipline, about doing sketching and drawing, because it is really valuable. But I like to paint with colour. Drawing isn't my thing, and I never drew lots when I was a child. I wasn't that sort of child. But I looked a lot and thought a lot, and colours and movements and shapes were really important to me. Anyway, I started drawing rocks, and as I drew rocks, poetry turned up, which is crazy. That happened. And then I was drawing a little pile of rocks that I can see right from my desk, but I'll just hold this up. Oh, this is the hole.
You've got to go the opposite direction.
You've got to go the opposite direction. So this is a pile of 4 stones, and on top of it I've drawn a sycamore leaf. The sycamore leaf represents a ballerina. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about this. So I was thinking about the pile of rocks and how they're balanced, and how gravity was involved. So they were being held in place by gravity, but they were resisting with the balance, resisting the gravity to fall off the rock. And that's how they were standing there. And then I was thinking about gravity in terms of ballerinas, how they can look like they're floating or flying, but actually what they're doing is they're pushing against gravity. They look like they're floating, but actually every inch of their body is
Yeah.
working really hard to do that push against gravity. And so I coined this wonderful phrase that I really love. Probably everybody's sick of, because it's actually on my webpage now and a blog, and I quote it myself. I thought it was so good. Is that every act of art is a pirouette on a wobbly stone. So that makes sense if you know the story about ballerinas and wobbly stones.
Yeah.
But every act of art, and so the gravity in that story is a metaphor for resistance. So every time we make any art mark or movement or sound, we are resisting, we are getting onto that wobbly stone. And some days we can even pirouette. Of course, you can't pirouette for long and you come crashing back down. Well,
you run out of energy. You have to refill.
Ballerinas probably do it more gracefully. But every time and it's a wobbly stone, there's always that resistance. That's always that need to push, to balance, to work, to reach out, to do art. It's an effort, and it's a war, actually.
It is, and you have to follow the ideas. It's like when you're adding something in. So like you can go, oh, is this me being distracted on this painting or this drawing, or is this actually what I'm, am I following? I will get, I can go, I can get distracted halfway through a painting, but on my prints, when I was doing my printing, and then I was adding in an extra layer of stuff of texture. And you're like thinking, is this a distraction? And you're like, no, because this is actually refining, and you're refining all the time. And sometimes you have to push through the doubt of what you're doing as, like it's a bit like experimenting or play, but you're pushing through to get the image or what you want to convey better. Sometimes you get this real doubt that what you're doing is just mucking around. You're like, no, I know that this is going to be, this is good. And it's like that, learning to trust that you actually know what you're doing, that actually there's an element of trusting yourself to push through that level of doubt and that level of constant, like, oh, I'm not sure, am I going to ruin it if I go too far? Well, if you ruin it, does that actually matter? And then our friend Caroline Clark, she has this rule about third paintings. She's like, the first painting, don't worry about it, like that's just going to be rubbish, it doesn't matter. And then the second painting, you've warmed yourself up, and then like your third painting is the one that's like, yeah, that's the one, because you have to kind of get through all the other stuff. But if she just stopped at the first painting, you'd never get that third. If she just stopped at the first painting and just said, oh no, it's raining, I'm going to stop now, she wouldn't get that really great painting in the third one.
Yeah, it's a big push to keep going, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've learned that I'm doing Drawing is Free with Chloe Briggs. She's in Paris, so it's 8:00 here on a Monday morning. Your first few drawings are rubbish.
Yeah.
And Chloe always poses first, because she knows that everybody's first painting's not going to be great. First drawing's not going to be great. Yes, I'm trying to learn to draw despite myself. I actually quite enjoy it. It's really lovely and honouring to draw people. It's so lovely that people stand there and pose for you.
But
it's
your
all
drawings
on Zoom.
but your drawings have really improved, because it's the constant level of observation and pushing through.
I realised I was drawing like a painter and had to draw like a drawer.
Yes.
And I've got a long way to go, but it's the keeping. It's over the hour that we draw, we do 12 paintings. We do it to a song, so it's 2 minutes or up to 5 minutes long. We draw somebody who's on Zoom. She makes somebody large on Zoom who poses for us, and I worked out. You do need to warm up. There needs to be that warming up and that preparation time, and that it's going to be rubbish. I found something on Facebook this morning, and of course I can't actually get to it because I'm using my iPhone to record this. But the gist of it was this: is that create. The worst thing that can happen is that it could be rubbish. It could be a disaster. That's the worst thing that can happen. And really, that's the worst thing that happened. Now, somebody might say, oh, no, I'll waste my time and waste materials. Well, yeah, maybe, but it could be your warm-up. Like Donna says, 3 paintings. That waste of time is your warm-up. So maybe you start on cheaper materials and then you move up to other things.
Yeah, that's why I do the sound drawing, or like when I'm sketching, when I've been out sketching, I have a first drawing that I just don't worry about, and I'm really enjoying. I'm really embracing using my sound drawing now, and actually going, well, this is the first drawing, and that just gets me to listen and pay attention to the environment I'm in, and then the next drawing, I know that's also going to be rubbish because, like, I'm now looking for the first time. But then the third drawing is much better, except for when it rains and then it washes your painting away. It's a bit sad.
She wanted to be out today. It's chucking it down out there and so windy.
I know.
So she rushed down to the garden and picked those flowers that are behind her, those beautiful flowers, out in the rain and the wind. Crazy. See, I don't paint plein air, and this is
rescuing. It's rescuing flowers because they were being battered, so now they're inside.
Yeah. There's 2 more quotes from that thing this morning. The second one was create. Even good artists do bad paintings.
Yeah, they do.
So that's. I'm hoping these things are encouragements against your resistance. So when these things come into your head, it's a bad paint. I've done a bad painting. Well, even good artists do bad paintings.
Yeah. Some things sometimes no matter how much knowledge you have, sometimes it's just dead. It's just got nothing to it. It's just, and you're like, why is this not working? Do you remember we used to joke about the cursed canvas? Like you could have a canvas and no matter what you put on it, it was just wrong.
I've got one of those sitting over there. I'm going to give it one more chance, but it's going to become firewood, I'm sure. It's got too many layers on it to paint it over too many times. But and then sometimes you just paint and within an hour you've got something amazing. And you think, well, why was that so easy? Well, it's because you have been working and fighting that resistance for days, weeks, sometimes years, and then whoosh, there it is. There's that pirouette.
It flows out. Yeah,
it just happens and flows out.
Well, so my youngest son likes to say, "No, practice makes practice."
Yes,
which is just so funny, but it's so true because the more you practice, you want to practice more because you know that you're refining, that you're getting better. You know that that's happening, and so when you hit that moment of resistance and you think, "Oh, I've got no ideas, I've got nothing," and then you go back through your books because you've built a library of work, and you can look at it and you go, "Look at what you've been doing. It's all here." Go back through your sketchbooks. This is why the sketchbook, stroke journal, stroke workbook, whatever you want to call them, they are so important. They are like, this is your memory bank of all your ideas, because on those days where you're feeling really flat and you might just need to go for a walk and get some fresh air, but when you come back in and you go, right, I'm reinvigorated now, I can do this.
Yeah.
You can go, right, yesterday I spent the day doodling Christmas ideas. That was my day yesterday.
I find that when I do go back through my journals, I'm not a great journaler. I've got a mess of books that I do stuff in. But when I do go back through them, I go, oh yeah, I was going to do that project with leaves, or I had this idea of doing portraits, or oh yes, I wanted to try using that color palette, and it's all there. And then I see what I had thought about in the past, and I then just naturally want to get on with it and crack on with it. So the last thing in the 3 things that I found on Facebook today was create, because creating is cheaper than therapy.
Yes.
So even if you create and it's nothing and it's for nothing, it's good for you. There's research now that shows categorically that 20 minutes of doing art or looking at art is as good as 20 minutes of counselling or meditation or any of those other things that people do for their mental health. So if all you're doing is doing something for your mental health, well, all you're doing, I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
To
Sit and draw.
calm yourself. I find when I'm doing my prayer journal that something changes within me when I sit down. They're just very little drawings in a book, or I'm playing with materials that I don't use as an oil painter, because this is all my other kit I've got lying around. It's not for anybody. These are not going anywhere. They're my little books. I'm going to keep them. They're teaching me a lot of things about me as an artist, but just taking that 10 minutes, honestly, it's only 10 minutes, maybe if I get into it, 20 minutes a day, just does something to me.
Yeah.
And the resistance. So as Christians, we can see that resistance as Satan wanting to attack us. We know that in Ephesians 6, we can put on the armor to resist this spiritual war going on. But even if you're not a Christian, you will feel that resistance. You will feel the resistance against doing art, against doing something that's good for you and good for the world. It's as Christians, we believe we're made in the image of a creator God. That's God's nature. He creates, and it's our nature. We create. So if we're not following our nature, that's not healthy for us. Obviously, people who, I don't like painting, or I'm not an artist, or anything like that. Everybody's creative in one way or another. Creative dressing, creative gardening, creative
cooking.
I believe in creative parenting actually as well. There's and business. There's lots of ways you can be creative.
Yeah.
You just obviously I'm an oil painter and artist, and I love that. We've gone over time. Never mind. There's two. Hopefully, this has done a couple of things. First of all, recognizing the fact that there is resistance.
Yes.
It comes with the job. You're going to be an artist. There's going to be resistance.
Yeah.
Secondly, that's all okay, but keep going. Find ways to counteract the resistance. And Donna does a whole full talk on this about disciplines and routines and things like that, which I don't think we've got time to talk about.
No.
But there are 2 books that we've come across that can help you. So the first one is The Art of War.
So The War of Art.
Sorry, I'm reading it backwards. And I knew I'd do that. The War of Art, Break Through the Blocks and Win Your Inner Creative Battles by Stephen Pressfield.
Yes.
He's
excellent.
He's a writer actually, but he's got some fantastic ways of dealing with that. And also Donna's got one there.
Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, who's a writer, and she did the film Eat, Pray, Love. So I'm holding it still. I'm trying to turn it so it's the right way. There you go.
Yeah, that's a lovely light. So The War of Art short. That book is very light and
this is
gentle
really
and nice, and she's very down to earth. If you need to get a day job, get a day job. Her book has been made into a film, as Donna said. She says, but what do you do after that success?
Yeah.
You've still got to keep going. That resistance is still there. So
it is. And sometimes you have to go, somebody said, you can get to the top of one mountain and then realise you're only at the top of a hill. And then you've got another, you have to go back down to go back up. Yeah.
It's always a challenge, always a journey, always a war, and always pirouettes on wobbly stones.
It is.